Hi, this is Tim Parry from Multi-Channel Merchant, and I'm at IRWD 2013 with, on your left, Nathan Foch, and on the right, Blake Ellis, both of Commerce V3. And they've done a lot of evaluations of websites down here at the show, looking at a lot of different people's e-commerce problems. So we figured we would ask. I'll start with you, Nathan. Were there any kind of underlying themes of like things you guys saw on people's sites that maybe a lot of merchants having the same kind of problems that were easy to solve, or was there a lot of just scattered different types of things that you guys saw out there?
Actually, there's a lot of common ground. One of the biggest ones I saw was the usability. You have technical people building a technical website that then non-technical people don't know how to use. Button colors, location of the buttons, graphics, things like that that they did not know wasn't easy to read by the average user. So as an example, I had one that had a gray website with gray background buttons. And so it didn't look like it was a button, it looked like it was text. And so those kinds of things were very common. A lot of people don't take a look at their website from the perspective of their user. And so there's a lot of those little easy fixes that will increase your conversion rate. It's probably the most common thing I saw.
Blake, were you around the same kind of thoughts on that?
Yeah, I had people asking questions, and I finally figured out that that at the show during the sessions, there were a few controversial statements made because I had 2 or 3 people in a row come in and ask the same question. And so there were like 3 arguments that people were having at the show that I could tell. And the first was evidently there was a lot of talk about the left nav and that it should go away. And so people were showing us websites with a top nav and a left nav and saying, they're saying in the sessions that maybe we should get rid of that left nav. What do you think? And I got that question like 5 or 6 times. And my answer to that question was, I don't mind you getting rid of it, but tell me what you're going to put instead of it there, because I think it's really useful there. And so we got into a discussion about whether it was worth, making the promo bigger or if there was some other kind of feature they could put there. And ultimately, most of the people I talked with, we decided to leave left nav there despite what the experts were saying. So I expect that conversation will continue this year. The other one that was a big one was the main page slideshow. A lot of sites these days, you open up the home page and there's 3 or 4 or 5 slides that are rotating through on the home page with promos.
And slowing down the site.
And so there was some discussion about whether that was a distraction for users, and that was a little controversial too, because I think that a lot of the merchants felt like they got what they were saying, but that's kind of the point of the slideshow, is to distract the eye to the slideshow. And so we talked a lot about the slideshow. And then the last one was the age-old discussion of whether red buttons mean stop or if red buttons or jump out at you mean click me. More and more I'm hearing people doing a lot of A/B testing around red buttons and attempting to use them more, even though the designers say that you need to use green buttons because green means go and red means stop. People are actually getting around to A/B testing stuff, and a lot of them are finding that the red buttons will sometimes work for them. So.
Something I heard in the sessions yesterday too was this is something that may have worked on a site that I used to work on 5 years ago, but wouldn't work on the current site I'm with now. You think there may have been some translation kind of things there where people had come in and figured I have to have a slideshow, but maybe that's not the right thing for them, or I have a direct link to something as simple as like a direct link to Pinterest on my site, but my audience isn't pinning.
That's actually a very good point. Your customer is the deciding factor of what works on your site or not. And so depending on who your customer is, the right answer is very different. One example, when I'm laughing when I was sitting here listening to you, one of the people I reviewed sold firefighter equipment. Well, as he said, they're not afraid of red.
Yeah.
And so for his site, all their progress buttons were red. But the next guy, that may be the absolute wrong answer. As far as what worked now versus 5 years ago, or way back in ancient time, 10 years ago, the big thing is mobile. Everyone's starting to look at speed, size, what adjusts well for mobile, trying to figure out if mobile is important to them. One of the gentlemen that came by had half of his traffic was from an iOS browser. And so his question was, does that mean I need to do more mobile, or is it not buying traffic? They have a retail store also. And so he wasn't sure if he should redesign his site for mobile, or is it just people using the map software to find his retail store. And so that answer is going to be specific to him, whether mobile works or doesn't work. And I think that's the big change in the past 5 years. 5 years ago, you built a website to work on an 800 by 600 standard display, a couple of browsers, where now there's many, many different options and a lot more flexibility that the website has to have.
That's a good point. And I had a couple of these conversations where, they talked about who to target the design for. And yeah, in the old days, we designed, 800 pixels wide or even 600 pixels wide. And then we went to 1,000 pixels wide. 1,000 pixels wide. That's a sight. 1,200 pixels wide. As the monitors grew, we grew, and the resolution grew, we grew the width of the site. But I think now people are considering going back down a little bit and doing their initial design work targeting a tablet screen in a horizontal rotation. Is that vertical, horizontal?
Yes, horizontal.
And so,
3 pixels.
Yeah, 3 pixels. So they do a 3 pixel wide site, and that's kind of the base design, and then they scale it up for the desktops and scale it down for the smaller mobile devices, but they've got a nice little happy medium that they're focusing on for their initial work.
Yeah. I think one other difference in the past 5 years, sitting here thinking about it, is the people using websites are far smarter on how to use a website. You can make more assumptions, or there's more common ground, and so they know you can try different things and they'll still be able to navigate your site. Where 5 years ago you needed to make sure your button was in the exact same location as everybody else, because so many people were still trying to learn how to use that medium. But I don't think they do now.
I don't know.
He disagrees.
I might disagree. I think people are not very smart. I'm not talking about you, viewer. No, I kept looking at sites, and the same thing as last year. We get around to talking about the buttons, and I show them examples of just how big and obnoxious add to cart buttons can be, and there's still a trend to make those buttons bigger, bolder, brighter, just to make sure that customers know what to click on. So, is that what to show them what to click on, or is that because it's competing with a short attention span? I know where the add to cart button is. I'm just like a little hummingbird, right. And I don't know. It's not that they're not smart. It's just the attention span, and there is more on the page. There's more detail on the page, and there's more social media buttons on the page. There's a lot of stuff going on in that detail page. Flashing and video. And so, not flashing. Having that big button helps. Along with pickles.
You both brought up earlier mobile, and I know you were mentioning Nathan. You were mentioning retail stores. I know you have some smaller, medium-sized businesses that I'm sure are worried about showrooming. Are they looking at that now as, even if they are a smaller, maybe more niche products, that they should still be concerned about showrooming? And are there things they can do with a mobile site or with a mobile app that could help them keep their customer from using them as an Amazon showroom?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think what a lot of merchants are doing is, you've got the whole responsive design thing where you can scale your site down, but they're actually looking at creating at least a few pages on the mobile experience that are completely custom. And so right when you get to their site, you've got the clickable phone number, you've got maps and directions, you've got things that are going to appeal to a shopper to try to get them a call before they get too far into that process. But it is a big concern, and I got asked a couple of times about it this show, because there aren't a lot of opportunities for a small retailer to to get in front of that trend, because they're launching the Amazon apps and they're doing the searches and doing the price comparisons, you know, first, and it's just a tough one.
I think some of it depends on what you're selling also. We have a lot of clients that sell sort of unique products, more exclusive to them, or you're buying the brand, the name, not as much as the product. And so they don't have as big an issue with that because people are kind of coming looking for that thing they offer. The ones I see that are tough is the more general. You know, I'm selling a TV that I can buy in 3,000 outlets easily. Those are the ones that I think are having the bigger problem with that.
All right. Hey, Nathan, Blake, I want to thank you so much.
We can't solve every problem.
Can't solve every problem. Okay. Nathan, Blake, thank you so much for giving us the time today.
No problem. Thank you.